Hi gamers, welcome back guys. Really quick, we're gonna go over a little bit more of Voldis Gate 2. So if you're watching this video and you haven't seen my Voldis Gate 2 beginner guide, I suggest you go watch that first, or at least like another guide, anyone's. Something that covers like the basics of the raid itself. All I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna watch back a recording of one of my runs on my Soul Eater with some of the guys that I run with regularly. And this is a hard mode version, but normal and hard of this entire raid are exactly the same, so it doesn't matter. I'm just going to explain what's happening, basically try to describe the strategy that we use and that a lot of groups will use. When it comes to throwing the restraining orbs, there's a couple different ways you can do it to basically guarantee that you hit every single time without having to worry about the boss like jumping out of it or dodging your trap or whatever. There are two different strategies that you can use based on how much damage you guys deal. So I'll go back at the end and I'll go over first of all the strategy that we used. I'll just kind of write it all out top to bottom, beginning to end, versus the strategy that you could also use if you had a little bit slower damage. They're not a whole lot different, but it just helps with not having to worry about getting the destruction too early, and maybe the boss gaining the buff that makes him immune to being trapped, so he kind of just runs around rampant for a little while. It's just going to save you a headache of having to deal with him when he doesn't have anything attached to him and the fight is kind of a pain in the ass. All right, so you notice before the fight gets started, I have darks and destructions on. Destructions are really helpful. I took darks because I think I just didn't have any atropines left. I didn't have any atropines left, so I said whatever. Oh, something that I'll mention before we go is most groups will throw their orbs, their restraining orders, the restraining orbs in order of party order. So in this case, the Bard is throwing first, the Soul Fist is throwing second, the Artillerist is throwing third, and fourth is usually backup. I think there are a couple cases where I throw at the same time as other players, but it doesn't matter because we're supposed to throw multiple at that point anyway. But yeah, so you and your group will figure out who's throwing when before you guys go in, who's throwing first, second, and third. That's kind of the most important part. And then the backup is just kind of there in case you throw too late and the boss jumps out of it. So the first one you throw is right at the beginning after this roar. So right away, Larry's going to throw right here. The Bard is going to throw. And so, something that I didn't do, you actually are supposed to stay in front of the boss when the first one gets thrown. Because if you stand behind him and you get aggro, the boss can... Anyway, so stay in front of the boss. Don't do what I just did. When the first one gets thrown, stay in front of the boss until it attaches, okay? So it attaches here. The first thing happens is the star comes out. You dodge the star, then we're going to stagger. Try to get off the stagger before you grab an orb, unless you're right beside the orb, then obviously pick it up. After the first stagger, the boss is going to do an attack that you can dodge or get hit by if you really want to. Then he's going to do a second attack. I think I get hit by this one, yeah. Remember, if you get hit, you wait until you hit 10% before you heal, so I don't heal yet. And now he's doing his third attack. I'm at 10% HP, lower than 10% HP, so I waited to heal, and then the stagger comes out. So third attack, then the stagger comes out. After the stagger, he's going to do the exact same thing as before. So once he gets up, he's going to do his first attack. Then he's going to do his second attack. Then he's going to do his third attack. And now there's going to be a stagger check. Now this is the third stagger for us. So this one is pretty much guaranteed to be a fail no matter how big stagger your group has. After the fail stagger, he slams, then he does a 180 fire breath, and now right here he's going to do a counter. Sometimes he'll do an attack, so he did a normal attack first. Sometimes he'll do an attack first that you just dodge, but then right after he's going to do a counter. So always be ready for the counter after he breaks out of the trap. After the counter, there's a stagger. Then after the stagger, two people throw. Because we are at this point, we are at, what does that say? 110 bars. So at this point, we're at 110 bars. We're like 15 away from the mechanic, and we have a really big burst in our group. It's a robust Soul Fist, a Full Moon Soul Eater, and a Barrage Artillerist. We're about to burst this boss. Actually, a crazy amount. So if you are close to the mech at this point, double throw, do the destruction, and then push him to 95 bars. If you are not close at this point, you would only throw one. Again, we'll go back and I'll talk about all the stuff at the end. I'll talk about the two different strategies at the end. For now, just focus on this one strategy. So if you are close to 95, throw two at this point. So because we threw 2, I think we ended up throwing 3, but it doesn't matter. As long as there's 2, the boss will get the destruction check. So we're hitting this destruction. I didn't throw my destruction bomb. I'm El Cheapo, but don't be El Cheapo. And then we burst. So we're already at 95. We were way past 95, but because the boss was like staggered from the destruction, you can squeeze out a little bit more damage until he gets up. As soon as he gets up, we're running out to our spots because he's already timed to phase for his mech. All right, so I'm running out to the right. Our support stays in the middle. The bard stays in the middle. The soul fist went to the top, and if you look at the minimap, the artillerist went to the bottom left. So we spread out in a triangle. All right. And then you'll notice that the support did get the eyes, which is what's supposed to happen. He was the only one in the middle, so it doesn't matter. He was going to get it no matter what, but just so you know, he got the eyes. And then when mine spawns in, I stand off to the side, like I mentioned, in case I get the one that has to be spun. But then he wraps up for the counter, so I step in front, hit the counter, then I grab a blood on my way over to the other one, and then just beat the crap out of it. You get a huge buff. Now, right here, our bard stepped in the cone like a dum-dum, and a bunch of fire got breathed onto us, which means we got hit with the buff, which means we bleed out to 10% HP. So that's why it's really important that the support doesn't do that, but experienced group doesn't really matter. You just potion and keep going. Now, at this point, so we've cleared the 95 bar mech. At this point, the safest thing to do is to just wait for a counter. You'll notice we're pumping damage again because we're an experienced group, but the safest thing to do is just play safe and wait for a counter. The counter usually happens around 7 minutes, somewhere between like 7:15 and 7 minutes-ish, maybe a couple seconds after 7. Most of the counters in this fight are, when he's not trapped, are attached to his timer for some reason. I don't know exactly what all of them are, but this one happens usually around, assuming that you pushed as fast as we did, around 7. So we're just playing safe for a little while, making sure that we're dodging, doing a little bit of damage, and waiting for the counter. So no one's throwing anything yet. You could, in theory, throw at him right now, but he's going to jump out of it, and you would have to be ready to throw again. So it's just more consistent to wait for the counter. I think the counter's coming right here. Yeah, so as soon as he started backing up, I don't know if you saw that. I'll show it again real quick. This is kind of important. So he starts kind of backing up a little bit. Here, one more time. Wait for it. So right here, he's going to start backing up, and then he flashes blue. That's where the counter comes in. After the counter, you get the stagger, and then after the stagger, one person throws. Okay? Assuming that you hit the destruction early on, one person throws. I think most of the time, just one person should throw after the 95 mech. Okay? One person throws. So our bard threw because he's number 1. So normally the rule is that after the 95 mech, it kind of resets the throw order. So then the whoever's throwing first would throw first again. Throw the first one here. So the bard throws right after the stagger. Make sure it's after the stagger. If it's not after the stagger, I think the roar destroys the trap or something. Then it's the same thing as before. So he does the star slam first, then there's a stagger. Once you clear the stagger, he's going to get up, he's going to do an attack. Now here's where things get a little bit different. So he's going to do, like before, he's going to do his first attack, second attack. Then he's going to do one more attack here. Try not to get hit by it. And then there's going to be another stagger. Now, because we're very close to 30 bars, the next mech happens at 30 bars, right? So because we're so close to 30 bars, we actually double throw right after this stagger. Because we want to get the destruction out as soon as possible. And we have the damage. Basically, after any stagger in this post-95 mech, after any stagger, if you think your group has the burst to burst during the destruction all the way down to 30 bars, or like maybe close to 30 bars so you could like clean up the last few bars afterwards, then throw after a stagger, after any stagger. So we cleared that stagger, but we threw anyway. I get hit by an attack because I'm an idiot. And then the second one attaches. We get this destruction here. And at this point, we're already past 30 bars. So you don't really have to do anything. Collect the bloods, generate meter, or whatever it is you want to do, depending on what class you play. But at this point, we're kind of just getting ready to go to the middle. So the boss leaves now. We're all going to go stand at the middle. And then you're going to watch the left side of the screen to see where he lands. He always lands on the left side of the screen. And then you run to the opposite side wherever he lands. So he landed bottom left. We're running to the top right. Wait for the breath. So he's doing the breath. If you watch the dragon right now, you can see where he starts the breath before he actually starts it. He like pointed his head to the left. So he's doing the fire from the left to right. So we're going to go stand over on the left side and wait for the fire to pass us. Don't go too far ahead. If you go too far forward, the fire will kill you. So stay at the back of the room, but take a couple steps to the left. Then just take your time getting through these orbs. If you get hit by one of these, there's a very good chance that you die. So just be really careful. Get across, hit the stagger check, and then make sure as soon as you clear the stagger check, you have some sort of mobility. I used my vestige, I think, to dash away from it. Use some sort of space bar or mobility or whatever. And then, sorry, we'll go back to here. So after you clear the stagger, you go to the middle. And we spam throw our orbs. All of us spam through our orbs. I think there's at least 3 there. 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 of us tossed orbs. So all 4 of the orbs are there. And then we stacked in the middle and waited for him to start charging. He either does a jump attack or a charge attack. Either way, he jumps at the person with the eyes. So as long as the person with the eyes is standing in the middle, then it's fine, like on top of the orbs. But if you don't know, if it's your first time, just play safe, make everyone stand there. As soon as he starts charging, you can jump out of the way. So you see these guys jumped out of the way pretty early. I jumped out of the way late, and I took 100,000 damage with the charge. It hurts. Don't do that. Then he'll dash back into them. The destruction check happens. This destruction check is super important that you hit. And then after you hit it, it's pretty much just GG. Honestly, you just play for your life here. Like at this point, we have 6 minutes to do 60 bars. And the longer the fight goes on, the more damage you deal. So, yeah, the rest of the fight is pretty much GG as long as you just live. If you're a support, don't even press the damage buff. Just keep healing your teammates. They will, as long as you have 4 people alive, as long as you have 3 DPS alive for this, you will kill the boss. But yeah, you just focus on dodging the attacks. Anytime something scary is about to happen, just dodge it for a second. You'll notice I keep repositioning myself to his sides and his back because for the most part, his front is a little scary, except for like the claw back and some of the stuff he does is pretty dangerous on his back. But that attack that he just did, it's like a bite attack. If you're in front of him, I'm pretty sure it one-shots you. So that's another reason not to stand in front of him. Everything else hurts, but I don't think anything else one-shots you unless it's like way longer in the fight and he has a billion stacks. And then I got fighter because my guys are juiced. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's the whole fight. All right, so before we go over the other strategy on the left side of your screen right now, I'm going to show you the strat we just used one more time. So if you have any questions about this or it doesn't make any sense, feel free to let me know. But this is the fast damage strategy if your group has a ton of damage. And now on the right side of your screen, you're going to see the strategy that you can use if your team has a little bit slower damage. The biggest difference here is that after you fail a stagger and you hit the counter and then the next stagger, instead of having 2 people throw and going for the destruction right away, you're basically going for like a half cycle on another one attached trap, right? So you would throw your second one after that counter and stagger, then you would hit the stagger after the second one attaches, then dodge 3 attacks, and then hit that second stagger, and then throw your next orb, which would be the second one attached to it because it doesn't break out after you clear a stagger. So then you would get the destruction. It's just a little bit extra time that you can get for more damage before you guys push to the mech. Anyway, guys, I don't know how much this is going to help. I hope it does. Let me know if it does. If you liked this format, I'm more than happy to do this for other fights as well. But yeah, good luck with the fight. Let me know how it goes. And thanks for watching. Okay, I guess that's all you get this time.